My name is Aaron Ladd, host of the Chief Squad Show here on the Locked On Podcast Network, and I'm convinced if you told Patrick Mahomes there was no possible way to walk to the moon, he'd be halfway there by the time the season starts. QB1 attempting the impossible we discuss in this episode.
And I'm Darren Smith. Some of us aren't surprised by Patrick trying to come back for week number 1, but I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so.
And I'm JC Pearson, and Darren told us everything. Whatever we say, Darren told us everything. So I can't wait to hear what he tells us tonight.
And I'm Chris Clark, and it's going to be a big question mark what the Chiefs do at the wide receiver position. We're going to talk about that tonight, too.
Chiefs Kingdom, stand up. It's the Chiefs Squad. Everything Kansas City Chiefs every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from Arrowhead Stadium, the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Squad up. The Chiefs Squad Show starts now.
The Chiefs Squad Show off and rolling on a Thursday. We appreciate you making us part of your week, your day, your month, wherever you are. Thanks for tapping in. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, do all those things that make shows and platforms successful. We greatly appreciate it as we make our march towards 20,000 subscribers on YouTube. Special shout out to those who listen to every show here on the Locked On Podcast Network, as well as those who make us their first listen. It's a light day. It's the off season. We grinded through some off season topics here. So if you want to be a part of the show, this is one of your best chances, if not ever. We're listening to the comment section, questions, comments, criticisms, concerns. You can make this episode. Here's what we have on tap for you all today. The future of the Truman Sports Complex is up in the air as the Chiefs move. The Royals are looking to make their move as well. What will happen with the remaining stadiums? We'll talk about that. Patrick Mahomes posts on social media as he attempts his comeback from an ACL and LCL injury, what that means for his availability up before week 1. The wide receiver woes continue for Kansas City. Is it a rookie or do they go to a familiar face? We will talk about that, as well as your last call to get those comments, criticisms, and questions in. Any initial thoughts, fellas, before we get started here?
I'm cursing the ground that Pete Alonso walks on right now. I know it's got nothing to do with Chiefs or football, but that man cost me $15,000 a day. So I'm cursing the ground.
Darren is already losing money. It's the off season for the NFL.
It was a free bet. It was a free bet. It's one of those free bets that FanDuel that you'll probably get to read, and saying one of those things. But 4-leg home run, he was the only one that didn't cash it. Killing me.
Okay, thank you, Darren. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Let's talk a little stadium talk. This is the new news from this Thursday. The headline is Jackson County executives create task force to study the future of the Truman Sports Complex. We talked a little bit about this before, what we think that area will look like once the Chiefs leave in 2031 and the Royals find a new home. So we have more information on what that process looks like. The task force will start their work on April 15th and have 90 days to deliver a report on options for the 400 acres that the two stadiums currently sit on. Here's one of the interesting ideas, and I wonder what y'all think about this. Project Raceway. I was trying to find a way to put it on the screen, but if y'all have Google, it's a good time to pull that up. Project Raceway would turn this Truman Sports Complex into a horse racing track, as well as have some shared spaces for apartments. There'd be a mixed-use development area for bar district. Basically all the things minus the racetrack, which they should have done before the Chiefs decided to move, but they're trying to do after the fact now. JC, why don't you start us off on this one? Does this raceway idea, does that interest you at all, or what would you like to see done with this area?
Well, I mean, they're going to have to do something with it. Raceway is something that's not, here in the metro. We don't have horse racing. We had dog racing way back. I don't know how popular that is, but why not just turn it into a big entertainment district where people can use every day and go spend money every day. There's not a lot of quality hotels out there. There's not a lot of quality restaurants. Try to liven that whole area up and see if they can, bring money and revenue in daily, as opposed to, and I don't know what they're proposing with the horse races, if it's a daily thing or whatever. But, if it does happen, I don't know what kind of crowd that's going to bring in either. And, I don't know. I'm not a horse racing guy, but, I know, what Kentucky Derby and all that, they bring some big money people in.
I believe the proposed name now is Arrowhead Downs. I mean, Darren, you love losing money. If you love losing money on your phone, it seems like, this is kind of horse racing track that'd be right up your alley.
Well, Aaron, I started to say something. I'm gonna be nice. Be nice tonight. I'm gonna be good tonight. Look, I mean, I never visited the Woodlands. I was a kid and we had it back in the day, but it depends on what their studies and what their research shows. I'm not sure, as JC mentioned, if you have Arrowhead Downs, or that's what they're going to call it, how viable that would be. Because I think even in Louisville, with the Kentucky Derby, that I don't know how often they actually use that facility for the horse racing. So I don't know. I don't know how beneficial it would be to the community to have that particular type of activity going on there. I'm with JC. I mean, I thought initially when you talked about having an entertainment district, I'm like, well, now we're going to be competing with Power and Light, but there's oftentimes Power and Light doesn't, they don't want certain crowds down there. So to JC's point, I think that would be pretty good to have something out there, an entertainment district with some nice restaurants, as you mentioned, with the hotels. But I'm interested to see what they're going to do. I'm not sure if 90 days is going to be enough for something that you're looking to plan for 5 years out. So, I mean, because even then, the teams, I mean, because you're planning for 5 years out, that means anything, because you have to, tear down the stadiums and then, clean all that out and then, figure out what you're going to do this. So, I mean, I think this is probably more of a 7-8 year deal versus just a 5-year thing that they're looking at right now.
Reading the article from KSHB 41 right now, one of the quotes says, "These are the most important conversations that this area will have for the next 70 years. And I couldn't agree more. I'm really disappointed that we're waiting this long to have these conversations. I feel like mixed use commercial district, bars, hotels, apartments, like that is what essentially you should have had to keep the Chiefs in this area. And I know we're a long ways away from 2031. So these conversations aren't extremely pertinent or happening the same way they were when the vote was happening. But, preparation and putting yourself in a position ahead of time to kind of beat these arguments to the punch or beat these critical conversations to the point kind of prevent you from putting ourselves in the situation now where we're like, this could essentially be nothing. This could be a no man's land. They're trying to come up with the best possible plan to salvage what essentially was a disaster, which ended up with both of the teams leaving this area. I wonder what you make of this, Chris Clark, what the future is of this Truman Sports Complex area.
It's hard to say. I mean, you look at it and Darren brought it up. I mean, you have to demolish what's there unless you're going to find a way to use the facilities that are there, which would have a very limited use. You're going to have to demolish it, and that's going to be costly just to start the demolition of it. But then you also have the scenario of, okay, you have all this space. Can you build something that is going to be what you're wanting with like an entertainment area or something like that? Because, that area isn't great for wasn't great for the sports teams. Is it going to be something that is going to be good for an entertainment district? Are you going to be able to because you're not going to be, you may be able to rezone it and have different things like a hotel and restaurants and all those things be built and be rezoned for that usage. That's fine. Are you going to be able to get the hotels that want to move there? Are you going to be able to get the restaurants that want to come in and move there, or any of those other scenes that you kind of want in that district? Are they going to want to do that? I do agree with Darren, though. This is one of those things where it may be 5 years out, and that seems like it's a long time away, but it's going to be here before you know it. And, you have demolition that you've got to get figured out, how long that's going to take, how much that's going to cost, how to pay for it, and then rezoning and getting everything in. Building plans usually take a long time too. So it's going to be interesting to see what they're able to do with that land.
Or why not just use those stadiums, use the existing parking lot to build some, some kind of entertainment, use those stadiums for like, college games, small college games, high school games. I think right now, where I think the Missouri State High School Championships that played at Mizzou, I believe.
It is. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, you can use that at Arrowhead. They usually play a college game there at least once a year. It can be the Division II, national championship game or something. And, just be creative with it. Use it for some high school games, that kind of stuff where you don't have to renovate the entire stadium and make it NFL worthy and NFL standards, but it's still usable, still a great looking place. I think you can use it for a lot of other things.
The renderings of this racetrack, or Arrowhead Downs, if you will, they've basically split Arrowhead in half. And the one remaining half of the stadium is kind of the bowl or one of the turns of the horse track, and the other side is open. I'm a concert guy as well. Like, I love traveling for concerts. I'm in mid-Missouri now, but I'll drive to St. Louis or KC for concerts. It feels like this could be a layup for a potential concert venue as well. But back to my original point of, waiting too long and dragging your feet, there's 4 or 5 other concert venues in KC that are already established, that have bookers already set. Like, it just feels like, I don't want to say a day late and a dollar short, but essentially you're starting from the ground up and trying to build something new, that not only you're trying to get investment from companies and acts and artists, but you're also trying to get investment from the fans to go out there and try something new and get something in there. I'm very disappointed about how this whole thing is going.
Yeah.
One thing.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Chris.
I was just going to say, the one thing that I'm curious about is, like, when you talk about some of those venues, you're talking about 20,000, 30,000 venues. Arrowhead can hold 80,000 people. Like, it's a different scenario to try to make it a venue. I'm not saying you can't, but to do that, you have to have the ability to bring in those types of crowds for, on a regular basis to make it worth it. I'll be curious to see if that is something that they really try to do.
And and let me say this, because you think about it politically, you're gonna have a hard time, because as Chris kind of mentioned, trying to bring these businesses in and whatever way you decide to do it, is going to be a lot of taxes involved. Either you're giving taxes away to the businesses, which is going to increase the taxes on the surrounding area, because the people are going to have to pay for it. So there's only so much that you can give away with that. But then, to your point, I don't want to put it all on the politicians, because the teams were here too. So they had a lot of skin in the game as well, because they were supposed to do some things when they, when the stadiums were built and when they moved in, but the teams, didn't hold up to their end as well. And when they had the issue about the rolling dome or whatever, and I think at one time they had a bi-state tax taking care of these stadiums or whatever. There's enough blame to go around, not just on the politicians. Granted, the politicians, they own a lot of it, but these teams do as well. And I'm just concerned that, at the end of the day, it's going to fall on the everyday person, that their taxes are going to find a way to increase to pay for a lot of this stuff, which it shouldn't be that way.
I'm going to hop off what you said, Darren, and JC, you can take it from here. Is it safe to say that the Chiefs neglected Arrowhead Stadium for a very long time, and now it's
the Royals too? Royals too, man. That's 50-50 on that.
They were in a position to where, the first major updates that we've seen are coming the World Cup.
Yeah, they did all the superficial stuff, just to make it look appeasing, but the nuts and bolts of it and the guts were, just, they didn't do anything with it. But I don't know if it's feasible financially from the state to use it as a football facility, because while the Chiefs were playing, they didn't want other teams playing on Saturday or Friday, tear up the turf or whatever. But now that they're not there, maybe you can do that. I don't know if that's going to make enough money. This whole USFL or XFL, I know there's a team in St. Louis, the Battle Hawks or something, maybe you can get another a team in there to play in the spring. Be creative. Soccer, girls flag football. I don't know if all of that is enough to, bring in enough money to maintain the stadiums. But, I think if you do that and you build around the parking lot, you're not going to need as many parking spaces. Now you can put some restaurants, some bars, some other stuff in there. I don't know. I think that's about the best they can do. I'm not sure that horse racing is going to get it done.
And to Chris's point earlier, one of the things that's really going to hurt Kansas City, especially when it comes to with that stadium, they don't have a dome on there. I mean, you think about it. When the Rams left St. Louis, you can still utilize that stadium for a lot of things. And of course, they got the XFL or UFL team out there, the Battlehawks. I'm seeing so. And actually, I thought that's where they were having the high school football games at because of the turf and because of the dome. But I mean, without that, dome there, I mean, there's really not a lot of activities you can have at the stadium unless it's during the spring and summertime.
We'll see what the stadium looks like come 2031. Before then, Patrick Mahomes attempting his comeback in time for week 1. We talk Chiefs QB1 on the other side of this break. Robinhood, what if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets change the game. It's people moving the action. So when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the United States. Download the Robinhood app today and begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives, LLC, a registered futures commissions merchant and swap firm. Back in on the Chief Squad show here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Aaron Ladd, Darren Smith, Chris Clark, and JC Pearson. Do not forget to check out the Everydayer Club for ad-free episodes and access to a group chat with me and other listeners of this show. Tap the link in the show notes or go to lockedonchiefs.com.supercast.com. That's lockedonchiefs.supercast.com. We're growing. We're expanding. We got group chats and money coming in and all this type of stuff. I like it, JC. Let's talk some ball now. Patrick Mahomes sends the internet into a frenzy with, I believe it was 3 total seconds of video. 4 seconds. Darren's got it counted already. He knew how long.
When I saw the video, I was like, hold on, why does he keep going back? And then I realized I looked at the timer. It's only 4 seconds. Okay.
Yes. So if you lived under a rock and this is your first finding out about it, Patrick Mahomes is back in the lab. He's recovering from a torn ACL and LCL suffered at the end of last season. He has said that he is determined to make it back in time for week 1. And now, just a little over 100 days since that injury, it looks like he's on track to do so. Darren, you started us off on this one, so we'll give you the first crack at it. Does this post change your mind, or what does this post say about Patrick Mahomes getting back in time for week 1?
No, they didn't really tell me anything. I mean, look, we've said it even on the post-game show. The game he got hurt, I still expect him to be back week 1 just because I know how he is mentally and how his rehab process is. So seeing it just really confirmed my my thoughts about it. Even I think after the season, we came on here and I told you that his mobility was like 100. I think maybe 10 days after the surgery, he was already like at 120 degrees of range of motion or whatever. From the time he had his surgery, I think 10 days out. So no, it just for me it just puts an exclamation mark on what I've always thought, that he would be ready to go by week 1. Now, whether or not the team allows him, that's going to be a whole different thing. But he is saying that he does plan. I think we talked about this the other day. I think he plans on taking part in OTAs and mini camp and stuff. So that surprised me.
Chris, what do you think? I saw y'all had a topic on this in the Daily Show. What did y'all come to?
It's crazy. Don't get me wrong. I'm excited that he's back out there and he's able to get out there and throw. And it's not a full throw. Like you're not doing what you would normally do as a quarterback. I understand that, but just being able to get out there and be able to be on the field and to show that he is doing that type of stuff already, he's well ahead of where I would expect that he was going to be. I agree with Darren. I think that I never really considered that he would be. I guess I will say I thought he may miss the first couple of weeks. But the big question, and like you said, Darren, the big question is are the Chiefs going to be okay with him being out there? That's going to be the big question. Like he may be able to be ready to go and play, but are you going to throw him out there? Because I know he wants to try to do OTAs and mini camp of some sort. He's not going to be in training camp. I don't think he'll be in preseason. So are you going to throw him out there week 1 with nothing? That seems like that's not a good scenario for him.
Let me just jump back in right quick. So to what Chris was saying again, I want people to. It was only 3 or 4 seconds of video, so we don't see he's
Right.
obviously making more throws and doing a lot more activity than what was posted. So I just want people to understand that. I know we're commenting on just that, on just that portion, but also, I mean, he's at Arrowhead most of the days throughout the week, and he's there for extended. I mean, Andy said he's up there for 7 hours a day getting worked on. He's working with his personal trainer Bobby Strope, and he's also working with of course the Chiefs trainer that worked on his ankle when he got injured. So I mean, when I say and for people who saw him during the Big 12, I mean he's Patrick is Patrick. I mean Patrick is just that's just. I mean, so put it like this,
But yeah,
I would not doubt him because that's just how he is. Again, but by the time we get to September, we would have already known, whether or not he's going to be physically fit to go at, between now and what we see come September. Because I can assure you, because I'll be at those practices, he will participate in some way during the OTAs. Now, to what degree or to how much, that remains to be seen.
and to be moving, to be walking and everything 3 months out, it's not unheard of. With all the modern technology and the modern surgery, guys are doing that. I mean, the rehab is starting right after surgery. They have guys, their legs right coming out of surgery is in a deal where they're working on a range of motion immediately. So, it's not, oh my God, this is Superman, I mean, and when you look at, the video, he's not putting any weight on that leg, even, and of course he can do it because we see him walking around, but he's not really torquing the knee or anything. Nothing's wrong with his arm and his shoulder. He can still throw the ball. That's not that's not an issue. So people are making a big deal out of him throwing the ball. Well, I mean,
and they're definitely not going to be touching him.
He's a quarterback. That's what he does. It's not like he's planting and twisting and throwing the outs and all that stuff. He's just playing, soft toss, really, right, is what we saw. So it's not some Superman thing, but I mean, he's going to be a guy that we know that's going to put in the work and to get back, and nobody should doubt him. But to see what he's doing right now it's not unheard of. It's just modern technology, modern science, modern medicine.
The biggest deal to me, JC, is that he stayed in the pocket. He didn't try to scramble out and find somebody and extend the play with his legs.
A bad knee will do that to you, right? So they better get a tackle. There was always some tackles that can give them that time, man.
Here's more on Mahomes from Ian Rappaport, Darren Smith's favorite reporter from NFL Network. He says, this is good news as far as Mahomes' video. There's still some uncertainty because we're only 3 months out from a 9 to 12-month recovery, and it's not just an ACL tear. It's also the LCL. Had the surgery right away to accelerate the rehab. So it could take a little longer if the knee is still stiff. Quote, if Patrick Mahomes is not ready in September, he's just not going to be on the field. This is a conservative and very good medical staff. This is why they traded for Justin Fields, who has plenty of starter experience, even if it's just for a couple of the first games of the season. And that's where I still stand on this. I don't think the 4 seconds of video in March really changes my opinion on that. Justin Fields is a reliable starter who didn't show his best ball the last time out, but you traded for him because you appreciate the skill set and you know the experience that he has, and you pair that with what the ability to coach him up. I don't want to rush Pat back. I know Pat is going to rush himself back. We all understand that. The what you do as an organization and what your job is, if you're Julie Freemeyer and Rick Burkholder and the whole medical team, is say, all right, we appreciate that you're rearing to go. We appreciate you're confident. We know you want to be here to help the team. You're not going to be any help to this team unless you're 110% ready to go. Pat has not had one of these injuries at the pro level before. This is uncharted territory for him. So give him time and give him the ability and surround him with organizationally with the rest of the people that can allow him to take a breath. He's so used to being the guy that has to shoulder it all and put it on his shoulders and say, it's me, it's my way or the highway. It does not have to be this way this time around. And I would even venture to say that they have to stop him from continuing to do that if they want to enter this Dynasty 2.0.
Let me ask you this, Aaron. When Michael Jordan broke his foot, the Bulls wanted to shelf him for the remainder of the season. Like, they didn't want him coming back at all. He was working out, and as he said in the last days, he went back to his college and was playing pickleball out there. I mean, full range of motion artist. Granted, broken foot, I get the injury disparity, but that motivation and wanting to come back to compete at a high level, that's just something that's in it. I mean, I know you're saying protect from himself, but I still like to think a particular person knows their body better than even the doctors, the JC, myself, Chris, or you even does. I mean, if Patrick at that time says he's ready to go, I don't think nobody's going to be able to stop him from getting on the field.
I think he knows his body, but once again, he's never been through this. I think his brain is going to tell him that he's ready to go in 2 months, in 3 months. It's the difference between thinking that you're ready to go and trying to go out there and give it a go with new teammates, new language. I understand you're going to be part of that process, but
But your body is also going to tell you if you're ready to go as well. So his body, if he can't go, his body's going to tell him that as well.
My rebuttal to that is, what's the harm in Justin Fields playing the first 2 games?
Nothing. That might be 0-2, I guess.
I don't think that there's any harm with Justin Fields playing the first couple of games. That's obviously why they went out and got a veteran of sorts in Fields, is to try to bring somebody in that could go out and hopefully win a game, especially with the new offense. You're going to be running with Kenneth Walker as your running back, and maybe if they're going to add a wide receiver or another tight end or something else to the offense, we'll see. But when you look at how this is going to play out for Patrick, it's going to be a question of, as Darren said, is he going to be ready? Is he going to feel like he's ready? But the bigger thing that they need to be working on with him, and at least in my opinion, is they need to be getting into his head right now. You may be able to come back and play this year, but you can't play like you normally play. Like, you need to get and be a pocket quarterback way more so, especially early in the season when you're playing, than what you have normally done, because you can't go out there and drift and try to do all the different things that you do trying to recover from this injury, or you're going to get yourself hurt again.
JC, is there a time where you were hurt and you felt like you were ready to go, and maybe you got out there and you weren't fully there?
And that's what I was going to say. I had Achilles injuries, and surgeries, and coming back and coming back to a point where you can get out on the field and play versus being 100% is completely different. And I understand what both of you guys are saying, but the other part about that is, you don't want him to not be who he is either. So, you can't say, hey, you got to play this way. And, that's not who he is. He's never been that guy ever, from high school to college to ever. So it's going to be hard. You may say, oh yeah, I'm going to do that. But once you get in the game and start playing, you're going to play the way you always play. So, that's why they, his knee is going to tell him a lot, whether it starts swelling, whether it's sore, whether it's stiff, whatever, what he's going to be able to do. And I think that's why they made a big emphasis on the run game. And I think they're going to give him some more weapons outside to throw the ball to, maybe some guys to help protect him a little more too. So he may not have to do all of those things. But believe me, if he's in the game and, the pocket breaks down and there's a hole, he's going to do what he does, so it's their job to try to make sure that those scenarios don't come up, not so much change who he is as a player.
And Aaron, think about it. When what was it, 2019, we were out in Denver and he dislocated his knee. The man wanted to pop out. They popped it back in. He wanted to go back out there and play that same game.
What about those? Yeah, what about those ankle injuries in the playoffs and all that?
Trust me, they
he ran more.
Because that was in the middle of the season, they could rest him for a couple of games and not lose too much traction. But that playoff game, you remember, Aaron, he was at the stadium damn near 24/7 trying to get that ankle. And when he got to the next game, he did not change the way he played, did he?
This is not that. It's not.
I get it, but like JC is saying, when you're in the game, first of all, if he's playing, people are going to expect him to be close to 100%, if not 100%. So if you're playing in the game, he's going to expect, just like everybody else is going to expect him to do Patrick Mahomes things. He is not going to censor himself or play it safe, because that's how he'll get hurt even worse if he tries to play it safe.
And if he's out there and he's limping around and that kind of stuff, they got to get him off the field. Then he's not ready, right? So, you can't put him out there unless he's ready to play the way that he plays football. And if he's limping around and all that stuff and not able to do that, then, it's their job as an organization to say, hey, man, let's take a couple weeks off, look at this, blah, 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 and of course he's not going to want to do it. But if you point it out to him and he sees it, then, because if teams see him less than 100% and they see him limping or whatever,
take him out.
Thank you very much. They're coming even more. So, that all that plays into it.
And I'll say this, because I don't know if Chris wants to jump in or we go to break, but one of the reasons why I think he'll play in week 1 is because he knows that he has to get that first hit out the way so he knows how to fall. Because between now and whenever he plays, he has to take a tackle. He has to take a hit. And normally that's why he plays really, a couple of series in the first game, get the hit out the way, and then the next 2 games he doesn't play as much. But he gets that initial hit. If he waits until the game week 1 to if he plays in week 1 to get that first hit, then that might be a different conversation.
Yeah, he would probably have to play in a little bit in that last preseason game, just like you said, just to get some live speed, because you can't simulate it in practice no matter what. The speed, all of that, and probably get hit once or twice just to see how it holds up. Because if he's ready week 1, he's ready, the third preseason game, theoretically. If he's not ready by then, he's probably not going to be ready a week later.
Let's take our second time out here on the Chief Squad Show. When we come back, we discuss the wide receiver room. Stick with us. This time of year, all you really want is something warm, easy, and satisfying. That's why Home Chef has become such a go-to. It takes the stress out of dinner and makes it simple to actually enjoy cooking again. Home Chef makes cooking easy with fresh, pre-portioned ingredients, simple recipes, and meals that taste great. Meals are quick, from 30-minute recipes to oven-ready options when you don't want to think. Tons of variety, over 30 meals each week, so it never feels repetitive. The quality is legit, even chef-inspired recipes from names like Gordon Ramsay. For a limited time, Home Chef is offering our listeners 50% off and free shipping for your first box, plus free dessert for life. Just go to homechef.com/lockedonnfl. That's homechef.com/lockedonnfl for 50% off your first box and free dessert for life. Must be an active subscriber to receive your free dessert. Chief Squad Show here on the Locked On Podcast continues. Our last show for the week. Aaron Ladd, Darren Smith, Chris Clark, and JC Pearson. Just one more reminder to hit that subscribe button. I know you at home, you've been listening. You like a couple episodes, go ahead and hit the button. It's really easy. Let's talk about the wide receiver room now. This is a report from ESPN on Wednesday. Top wide receiver prospect in the draft, Carnell Tate out of Ohio State, has upcoming meetings set with the Tennessee Titans, New Orleans Saints, Washington Commanders, New York Giants, and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs have the 9th overall pick, and there is a real chance that he falls to them. The junior had a breakout year in 2025, 51 catches, 875 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Some draft experts consider him the best player at his position in 2026. So the question that I'm going to posit to our panel today, we'll start with you, Chris, on this one. Is it Tate or Tyreek, your preferred wide receiver option in 2026?
At this point, I'd say Tate, mainly because you give Mahomes a weapon for 5 years. You're going to have to take him at 9, so you're going to have him under contract for 5 years, whereas Tyreek, maybe he's here for a season or two. To me, I think that you need to have somebody, and actually we talked about this on the Daily Show just earlier today on the Friday show, talking about the wide receiver position, and that if you look at 2027, Rice is a free agent at that point. Worthy will have 1 year left on his contract. Jalen Royals will have 2. You'll have 1 more year of Tyquan Thornton. But the problem at the Chiefs wide receiver position is, generally speaking, they don't play the rookies very much. So, yeah, that might change if you're getting Tate. We'll see. But I think that you need to get a wide receiver early and try to get somebody for Patrick Mahomes that can be here with him and build with him for the next 5 years.
How confident are you that he actually could fall to 9? I think it's another part of the equation. Would you feel the same way if the Chiefs had to trade up to acquire him?
I don't think that they should be trading up to go get Tate. There's probably only one position in this draft that I would trade up for, and that's edge. And you go get your guy, and because you're not going to be in this position to pick at this, this early in the draft. So to me, that's where I would go. I think Tate's a good player. I just don't know that I would go be trading up to go get him, because I don't know that the other part is how high would you have to go to get him, and what are they going to be asking for?
Yeah, I believe the teams that he's all visiting with are all picking above Kansas City: Titans, Saints, Commanders, Giants. Yeah, each one of those teams picking above Kansas City. What do you think, JC? Because to me, in my opinion, it's not both. It can't be both. If they're getting Tyreek, they're not going to invest that much capital. If they invest that much capital, they're not also going to add Tyreek. It just seems like it's either or.
Well, I think it could be both, because I still just don't think that Tyreek is going to get a huge contract. I just don't. I think it's going to be more team friendly, incentive based. I would think wherever he goes, but if Tate was there at 9, great. I don't think he's going to be there. I know there are a couple other good wide receivers out there. Are they 9 worthy? I don't know. I don't think they're going to be able to get the, so you look at the holes on this team and the needs. Where can you get the best player in the draft at that position? I don't think they're going to get the best edge in the draft. I don't think they're going to get the best receiver in the draft. I think the best corner in the draft will still be there. But you may have to go that way. I don't know, but it's either you reach a little bit or you play it safe. It depends on how the Chiefs deem it, but do you take the 2nd or 3rd rated wide receiver at 9 just to take someone early, because obviously they probably won't be there at 26 or 29, wherever we're at. So, you got some decisions, but then you can trade back up after 9. But, I think, they may have to look at somewhere else and where you can get the best player in this draft at that particular position of need. And we'll see.
The Chiefs taking a wideout at 9 seems like a damning if they were to do that, it really tells you a lot about what they think, in my opinion, about what they think about the current makeup of their wide receiver room if they're investing that much capital at 9. Yeah. Darren Smith,
I disagree with you on that, but I'll let Darren go.
No. I want to hear Chris. Go ahead, Chris, and then I'll chime in after. I want to, because I disagree with Aaron as well, but I want to hear Chris.
I disagree because, to me, you have not invested enough at that position, and you have not given Mahomes enough weapons on this
first round pick.
Yeah, you picked him at what, 29 or 20?
And Rashee Rice was a second rounder. I mean, they invested. The investments just haven't paid off.
What are the grades
Hollywood.
that they had on those picks? It doesn't matter. Like, you can say that they invested a first round pick. Yeah, that's basically a second round pick where they drafted him. And Rashee Rice isn't much more than the third round pick when they drafted him. It was another late round, second round pick. So you're drafting guys, you're taking them in specific rounds. I get it. I'm just saying you still don't have a situation where you have the weapons around Mahomes that you want, because his number one receiver that he is trusted forever, everybody thinks is out of here after this season, in Travis Kelce, and probably is. Why not give him somebody else that he can try to grow with? Like, I get it. You would want Rice to be that guy. You want Worthy to be that guy. But again, Rice is going to be a free agent after 2026. And Worthy, had an injury-plagued season last year. We'll see if he can step up and do something different this year. I don't see any reason why they shouldn't be taking a wide receiver, because the other side of that is you want to try to take somebody that is going to play a premium position, whether it's tackle, defensive end, wide receiver. Obviously, they don't need QB or corner. And so Delane is maybe a possibility, is maybe the best player at his position grouping. But other than that, most people aren't going to want to take a right tackle at 9. I get that too.
Well, Chris, anything I was going to say about the wide receiver? First of all, I don't want them taking no tackle at number 9.
Right.
Unless you're getting a Joe Alt player, I'm not taking no more linemen right now. No rookie. But to the point about the wide receiver, I do want to address the question that 3 Delta said about Tate being a number 2 at best. The thing is, he was a number 3 and a number 2 because you have Jeremiah Smith and you also had Marvin Harrison and I think somebody who came a couple of years ago as well that were there at Ohio State. The thing is, with Ohio State, they produce wide receivers. So I don't think he's going to fall to them. I've always said that I don't think he goes any further than 6. He might go to the Giants at 5. I don't think he passes Cleveland at number 6 because they definitely need wide receivers up there. And so, but if you were to somehow get to number 9, I do see Kansas City taking it for the same reason that Chris says. You have to give Mahomes someone that he can work with. Look, to me, he is a complete wide receiver. He's someone. His 40 time may not be the best, but Jerry Rice didn't have the best 40 time as well. And he can still beat you deep. He can still beat you on the inside. He's a 50-50 player when it comes to throwing the ball up. And being that the wide receiver coach up there at Ohio State, all he produces are great wide receivers. That's someone who knows the route tree 1 through 9 that will help Patrick extend the chains. And, look, we talk about how the wide receivers here don't know how to play wide receiver. They can learn from him as well if the Chiefs were to somehow get him.
So we have a rookie being the leader in the wide receiver room.
Well, no. It's not that he's the leader. You let your play do the talking, and if your play is there, the players will follow you.
Generally speaking, I don't think Kansas City is going to be in a opportunity or in a place where they can draft a highly touted Ohio State wide receiver very often. And I mean, you look at next year's wide receiver, there's no chance that they're going to be able to go get the guy that you just said, Darren. Sorry, I'm forgetting the name right now.
Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah, there's no way they can get him.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, to me, Ohio State is basically wide receiver U. Look at what just got paid to Jackson Smith and Jigba. I'd rather go with Tate, where you have somebody that Mahomes can try to grow with. And I still am wondering, maybe Tyreek's back this year, maybe he's healthy, but that's still a little bit of a concern for B2. That's another reason why I'd go Tate over Tyreek.
I think you just have to look at the pedigree. Like you said, Ohio State, man, recently. And if you've seen any of their pro day, man.
Yeah, I think they had it yesterday.
Yeah,
them dudes. Pro day yesterday, yeah.
All them dudes look like, hey, they're grown men, man. It looked like, man, you just take anybody from Ohio State. Look like them dudes are ready to go, man. But yeah, I mean, not only just him, but you mentioned all those other guys that came before him that he's sitting back learning from too, right? He's learning from those guys, watching video of those guys. He's got the coach that has coached all of them. Man, you would think that That's why he's not going to be there at 9. So we can probably forget that. But, you know, I know the only knock on him was, you know, he didn't run fast at the combine, but
you got a fast guy already.
Yeah, Dave, put the video on, right? and you know, he's a guy that, you know, I read some stuff about him today where, you know, he's a great route runner. He thinks he's, you know, the best route runner in the country. And that's really what this team needs, is somebody that can really run routes, separate, and catch the ball consistently. So, you know, he's got all that.
So I'm going to flip this around on you, Aaron, for a moment. Who do you take? Because the reality is you probably Bain, Bailey, and Reese are probably all gone. So edge probably isn't going to be an option at 9, I wouldn't imagine. You're not interested in the quarterback. Jeremiah Love is gone, although I don't think Kansas City would be taking a running back anyway at 9. So at that point, you have potentially, maybe you have the wide receiver in Tate.
Styles is gone. The linebacker's gone, right?
You would think he's gone, but maybe he sits because it's not positional value. Maybe Styles is there, maybe Downs is there, but you're not going to get, like, you can get the best guy at those positions in Styles and Downs, but the positional value isn't there. Like, you're talking about wide receiver, edge, corner, all getting over $30 million a year when you talk positional value. I don't understand why you would want to go somewhere where you're not going to use positional value.
Chris, I have my answer for you on the other side of this break. You're listening to the Chief Squad Show here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Welcome to the 5-hour energy flavor draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like confetti craze, fruity rainbow, or cotton candy. There's something for everyone. The board is set. The flavors are ready. And I've got my number 1 pick or number 9 pick for the 5-hour energy flavor draft. Strawberry watermelon, sweet and tart, candy-like flavor, the ultimate flavor duo. Some flavors were just made to go together. Add strawberry and watermelon to that list of delicious pairings if that is not up to your speed. How about some pomegranate? Deep, slightly tart pomegranate flavor, more sophisticated and less candy-like. Subtle fruit bitterness for complexity. Strawberry, watermelon, and pomegranate are my 2 picks in the 5-hour energy flavor draft. Find your new favorite flavor of 5-hour energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. Final segment of the Chief Squad Show here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Aaron Ladd, Darren Smith, Chris Clark, and J.C. Pearson. We're doing some NFL draft talk and see what the Chiefs should do with their 2 selections in that round. Look, I kind of want to go back. Chris, you asked me this in the last one, but I disagree. I don't know if the Chiefs have failed to invest in the wide receiver room under Patrick Mahomes. I don't think that those investments have necessarily panned out, and that's for a myriad of reasons, whether you want to blame the old position coach, whether you want to blame them running into their own teammates early in the season, injuries derailing that. Whatever you have, the Chiefs have tried to surround Patrick Mahomes with talent, whether it's rookies, whether it's free agents that they brought in. I'm thinking about DeAndre Hopkins. I'm thinking about other players. I mean, they've even invested in their own practice squad players and tried to bring them up. I am under the belief that it's a sneaky need at wide receiver. I still do believe in what this unit could possibly do in 2026 as currently constructed. And if they do add a Tyreek Hill, sure, they add a Tyreek Hill. But 9 feels way too high considering where they are and how we all agree that they're probably not going to get there again to invest at wide receiver. I'd go edge that early, or as I've talked about before on this platform, and I'm still going to plant my flag in this, trade back. Really get more pieces in that middle rounds. Brett Veach has been a wizard as far as getting those 2nd and 3rd round guys to turn into pro bowlers and all pros. If you can get your positional need at edge figured out within those first 2 picks and then trade back and acquire more pieces and chips on the board later in that, that's where I'm at. And my reasoning behind that before I pass the ball again is because we've seen Patrick Mahomes play with wide receivers who are not up to snuff and win Super Bowls. I mean, hell, McCole Hardman caught the game-winning Super Bowl touchdown in overtime.
But why does he have to?
Before
That's
that,
my
it was
problem.
Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I understand we want things to be better, and things are better as currently constructed. But I don't think that you need to really insert the trump card of the 9th overall pick to really put you over the top when there's so many other needs along the board. I would go edge in the first round if I'm KC.
I think a couple of them are projected to be gone by then too, by 9. So do you just take the next best edge?
You don't want to overdraft either by drafting somebody.
Right. You
You
know,
know, you shouldn't be drafted at number 9.
Messidor and TJ Parker are probably 4 and 5. I don't think either of those guys probably deserve to be picked in the top 15. They may end up getting picked in the top 15 because this is not a great draft. Like there's just not, the value isn't there. I don't get me wrong. I would love for the Chiefs to be able to trade back from 9, but is somebody going to be willing to trade up, and is there going to be value to trade back? Because you're basically giving up a what is going to be considered a blue chip prospect type player for trading back 3 or 4 spots where you're not going to be able to get a blue chip prospect type player, because there's 12 to 15 first round grades in this draft. I mean, trading back would be great. I would love to see if they could, add some picks, but you got to have a partner for that.
But I think, and I know one of the texters just brought up Tyson, the kid from Arizona State, but, and I mean, he looks like a great prospect too. And I think he's like 1B.
I think the knock against Tyson is he's had too many injuries, and that's,
yep.
I think that's
well, there's going to be a knock on everybody. Or do you take the best player at the position of need that is, in the draft? Like you said, you can still get the number 1 corner, you would think. I don't know if he's going to be gone before 9. The best corner in the draft, you need a corner. It's a position that is,
that's premium.
There's premium, right? That's the word I was looking for. Or do you take, I just don't see taking a player, that's at 9, that's not the best player at his position, unless he's right there next to the best player at his position. And I think the edges are going to be gone. I think, the running back is going to be gone. Other than I think Downs will be gone. I think Styles will be gone. So I think the corner is probably the next spot, or, you look at, maybe a Tyson or whoever is the next best wide receiver. I don't know. It's up to, that's going to be the dilemma. But again, you don't want to overdraft either.
Which is crazy because, look, I've always been someone that felt that if they would be willing to dance with you, man, I would trade one of those picks for Marvin Harrison, because that's someone who was already in the NFL. I just think he needs a new location to where he's playing with Patrick Mahomes versus the Kyler Murray. And I think because he was considered the best wide receiver outside of Chris Carter to ever come out of Ohio State before Jeremiah Smith got there.
Yeah, but new coach, new staff now, new coach, new quarterback. Hey
man, a guy can dream, man. I'm just saying that's
yeah. Because if you're AZ, you ain't giving that up for that. You're like, hey, we're gonna see if we can make it work with this new regime, because he's too good to just quit on after a couple of years.
That's my point.
Chris, we talked about this on the last episode, but I do want to get your opinion on this. Specific to Rashee Rice, you said in a previous segment that he's going to be a free agent. Is there any world in which the Chiefs bring him back after this season? We came up with a scenario that, hey, maybe he's a 1,200-yard guy next year, and Kansas City is forced to. Do you see a situation in which Rice is a Chief long-term?
If he was going to be Chief long-term, they would do it this offseason, because this is when they would want to try to get it done. You look at the contract that JSN just signed, $40 million, $42 million, resetting the wide receiver markets. I'm not trying to say he's going to get anywhere near that, but JSN is going to bring Rice's market up. If he has a good season, he can go out and make good money. I don't know that he's going to be back in Kansas City. The one thing that I would be curious about is maybe they franchise tag him if they can't find something else. But that's another reason why I don't think that it's out of the question to take a wide receiver at 9, because you're protecting yourself from being in another situation where you're desperate for a wide receiver next year. You have Xavier Worthy, but you still need wide receiver help, and the Chiefs have been drafting one early for the last several seasons, and I think they should continue to do that, mainly because what we've been talking about, it's a money deal too. You're only going to be able to spend so much money on offense, and when you look at how much the wide receivers are going to start costing across the league with the new contracts coming out, it just makes sense to continue to try to draft them and to try to find somebody that Mahomes can mesh with, especially considering that Kelsey's likely done after 26.
And Chris, as we talked about the last show, you're going to be having a situation where, yes, he'll be a free agent next year, but you also got Xavier Worthy that's going to be able to get a contract extension after year number 3. So
do you think that, and I don't know if anybody would be willing to do it then. So if you're saying that really this next season is the last season that we're going to have Rashee Rice due to all those circumstances, do you try to trade him and get something for him?
The
now I don't know if you're going to have
you got
I don't know if you're going to have a trade
factor, so
partner, but if you know that he's not going to be here and beyond this season, why not try to get something for him?
Okay, but what are you going to get for a guy that has all the off the field issues?
That's what I'm saying.
That's
what I'm saying. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big question. Yeah. And the other side that I would argue on that, JC, would be what kind of message does that send to the locker room if you're trading away probably your number one wide receiver? Now, whether or not he should be a number one wide receiver is a completely different argument, but he is their number one wide receiver.
Don't foul up off the field,
right?
Don't foul up off the field. That's what that tells you.
Yeah. I mean, it's I don't think it sends any kind of message, but we're saying that nobody's going to want him to trade for him and this and that. Then who's going to want to give him big money after next season?
Somebody will pay him.
Well, then if somebody will pay him, then somebody will trade for him, right?
I think to
be honest, you could wait closer to the trade deadline in season, and make that move.
Yeah,
you could get a brand new copy machine at least. I mean, come on,
something, right? If you know that you're not going to re-sign him, at some point, and you don't have to do it now, like you're saying, Darren. You can wait all the way up until the trade deadline, or somebody have some injuries somewhere and they're desperate, may not want to do it now because they think they're set, but they have a couple injuries, and now all of a sudden, we're looking for a guy.
It wouldn't shock me if those conversations were already happening.
I guess it's possible, but I would say that it's probably way more likely that the Chiefs let him play out his contract and franchise him or transition tag him next offseason and try to get a trade done that way. Because
that's really what we said 2 nights ago too.
Okay, well, sorry, I wasn't here for that.
No. I'm agreeing with you. No, I'm saying that's the only way that we could see him still being here. There's no scenario where we see him here long term. Period. It just can't happen.
Did it to himself. A great show. Remember, we are live on YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 p.m. immediately in your podcast feed. Right after, let's talk Jalen Royals before we get out of here. Do we have expectations for him? I mean, he kind of figures into this wide receiver conversation. We said they hadn't really invested in that room. Here's the latest investment. But I think the other side of that investment is now we got to see him actually get the playing time part of it. You can't just acquire the asset. You have to put the asset to use to really be able to see what you can get out of him. Do we have expectations for Jalen Royals?
I just want to see him get more snaps. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I want to see what he can do.
Nobody knows. Yeah, nobody knows. We haven't seen him, which could be partly their fault, which could be partly his fault. Because if you're that good, they're gonna get you on the field. So, was he not picking up the system? Did he not pick up the system? Was he not as good as they thought he was going to be? We don't know, but we didn't see him at all. For a guy that they drafted, and it's not like these receivers that were killing it all year. One was out for 6 games, the other was injured all year, the other one was just mediocre. So you would think that you would be able to find some time in there if you're practicing well and doing all the things and showing and flashing in practice. Who knows though? I don't know.
I will say this: if the Chiefs draft a wide receiver early, Royals may be wide receiver 5. Is that going to get a lot of playing time? Is that going to give him something that he can step into and do much? We'll see. But generally speaking, that probably hasn't been something that's been very useful for the Chiefs outside of being a returner of some sort at wide receiver 5 and 6.
And I can also see a scenario where they don't go wide receiver at all. They're going to look to bring back Tyreek Hill, and up until then, elevate Tyquan Thornton to be in that starting lineup with Worthy and Rice, and just go from there.
Are you on payroll?
I'm saying,
how does this work with you and Tyreek? Do you get every time you mention his name on his platform, he gives you like a little kickback or something like that? How does this work?
I don't know, Andy. I mean, do you get extra money for wearing an NBC hat or something? I have no idea. I have no idea.
Oh, man.
We out of here, man. We'll see y'all next week. Until next time, stay safe, make good decisions.